Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last video on Michael J. Fox. Of course, he's not a muso, except if you think about that scene from Back to the Future with Johnny B. Goode. Through his story, we talked about the fact that you can still make a valuable contribution despite adverse circumstances. So I trust you found that one an encouragement. Well, we're going to Declan Patrick McManus today, born in London in 1954. Singer, songwriter, and an incredible guitarist, really, just an all-round package musician. This guy, very well respected in the industry, and he goes by the name Elvis Costello. And with the attraction, certainly in the 1970s, in the pub rock scene, they were getting quite a following. There was just something a bit different about Elvis Costello. His voice is a little bit different than normal. His songs are pretty amazing, and the attraction's a very, very tight band indeed. Between 1977 and 2022, so there's an announcement of an album coming here. So I've included that one in this list. 32 studio albums, 6 live albums, 16 compilation albums, 2 EPs, 62 singles, 6 tribute albums, 4 box sets. And one of the great things about Elvis Costello is his collaborations with other people, and there's been at least 12 albums in that area. And he's also quite kind when it comes to other people and also talking up their work. He likes to champion other people's works, and he likes to give them the credence that they deserve. It's just not all about Elvis Costello. He is in the music industry, and the music industry is made up of many important people. So it's great to see a guy that has a heart kind of like this guy. A few awards. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2003. In fact, it was Elton John who inducted him in that, and Elton said he has no musical boundaries, and he's always been a bit of a risk taker. And because of that, he's had longevity in the music industry. Think about 77 to 22. That's quite a long time, really. Elvis Costello has received 2 Grammy Awards, and he's ranked number 80 in the 100th greatest artists of all time. So in the top 100 as classed by Rolling Stones, pretty amazing achievement right there. Elvis Costello also has been in a few film and has made a few TV appearances as well. Now, when I think of Elvis Costello, and in fact this is the first song that I when I met Elvis Costello, this was the song that I met him through. It was Oliver's Army. Now, first of all, let's talk about who Oliver potentially could be. This is a guy who was born in the 1600s, Oliver Cromwell, and pretty well was a little bit of a disruptor in the UK, trying to overthrow a regime that was a bit tyrannical, and so he has a bit of a place in the culture of the UK. But what inspired Oliver's Army, first of all, is when Elvis went over to Northern Ireland, when talking 1970s here, and Northern Ireland wasn't a good place. We had religious wars going on, and we also had the Britain going in there, because obviously Northern Ireland is part of the British Empire, part of the United Kingdom, and when British troops had to go over there to try and keep the peace. And what inspired this song was very much those images for Elvis Costello of, in a sense, people needing to come in to keep the peace. And, you know, Oliver's Army is here to stay, and all the rest of it. The song goes on to talk about a few other things. It talks about Checkpoint Charlie. It talks about what's happening in Hong Kong. It talks about Palestine, and it also talks about Johannesburg. So it's making a bit of political commentary around, you know, why do these things happen in the world the way that they do. And, you know, we can sit and think, well, you know, war's just a really, really bad thing, and why do people need to go and keep the peace, and why can't we just get on with it, get on with each other? Well, as history has shown us, we can't. And I just want to have a little look at today. Instead of saying war's really, really bad and let's just get on with each other, that's an easy way to do it. But let's have a little think about why these things tend to happen. And I'm not going to quote any particular country or circumstance here, but I think there's a bit of a trend. What often happens is there's an existing power in play, and they've been doing it probably for a long time. They may have some practices that aren't so good, a little bit tyrannical, a little bit overpowering, overwhelming, and all the rest of it for the citizens. And it doesn't take long before the citizens, well, first of all, they think, oh, okay, we'll just go with this because, what choice do we have? And then that changes to, hang on, we really need to do something here. So one of the issues, of course, is for people that in power is they're terribly, terribly well organised. They have the ability to be able to deal with things pretty quickly, and they have almost the strength of the world on their side, because the world kind of acknowledges the power that's there, and so they're kind of impenetrable almost. But what actually happens is bit by bit over time, another side might come and say, hey, look, we really don't think what you're doing is such a good idea. I wonder if we could think about doing it differently. And of course, the first side says, no, we're not going to change. It's just the way it is, and I'm not going to win. I don't really worry. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And it gets to a point where conversation and talk stops and action starts. Now, in the case of some places in the world right now, that action has been going for quite a long time. And so, words fail, action starts, and often that's when innocent people get killed, and the United Nations needs to come in and try and bring humanitarian assistance because there's no food, and there's no water, there's no fuel, there's no anything. People are really left to fend for themselves. So the people in power thinking, well, we just have to quell this bit of disruption because it's mucking things up for us. Whereas the other side's thinking, we have no choice here. In fact, we've got nothing to lose. That's a really interesting place to be in right there. When you come from a place that I've got nothing to lose, well, you can really go anywhere and do anything with that kind of thing. So things escalate and things get out of control. And I think what Oliver's army is saying today is, look, we don't need to get to that point. If we had the grace and the courtesy to really, really listen to each other. Now, listening doesn't involve just sort of listen to someone's words and that's it. Listening actually involves, hey, look, I may need to make some changes here. Maybe what I'm doing isn't right. Am I courageous enough to face up to the fact that I should be doing things differently? I'm sure they're the words that many oppositions around the world are just longing to hear, but because they never come, it's a bit of a challenge. Or they may say the words, but then it's not carried through with action. So I think the plea of Oliver's army is this today, and that is, hey guys, we need to get around the table. Not just give the other side, just a bit of hearing, but to really, really listen and to see that everybody wants the best for the country that they're in. It's just that we have different ways of doing things. Human beings have different points of view. Human beings have different ways of doing things. Human beings are human beings. We are different from each other. And I think the situation we've got in the world right now is there's no allowance or accommodation for these differences, particularly when there's so much at stake right now. So the challenge of Oliver's army is this: put down our weapons, let's talk, but more importantly, let's listen, and more importantly, for both sides all around the world, let's act towards making this place a better place. Of course, the ironic thing behind all of this, though, is that there are weapons you can buy. People make weapons. Now, I think weapons have to be made these days. You can't have a country and not have weapons. But there's no shortage of supply of weapons, and this is the other interesting thing. There's an empowerment and almost an empowerment to keep this thing going when sometimes we need to put down our weapons, go into a room and have a chat. I remember a little while back when the North and South Korea got together and had a bit of a chat. Really, really important. And, you know, I think one of them stepped into the other side of the other country, and that was just pretty cool. We need to do that more and more and more. Who cares what people think? The fact that it happened at all is an amazing thing. And we need to just celebrate that when it happens. So, and even for myself, am I being peaceful? Am I trying to actually talk before action? I think we can take it right back to ourselves right here and think, well, what am I doing? How can I make this world a better place through being a peacemaker? So may the story about Oliver's Army encourage you today. Now, the other great thing about the song Oliver's Army is because there's some pretty incredible piano parts in this particular song. The production is really, really good. In fact, there was a piano that that really hooked me in on this one, and also the chorus and just the backup vocals. Just the whole thing is a pretty good song. Bit of a nod of the head to Abba here. Of course, Abba were huge in the 1970s and are starting to peter out, but not really at this point. More in around the 84, 85, they were starting to peter out a little bit. And I think this is a bit of a nod to the productive genius of ABBA songs, and so that's why there's so much piano in this song. Elvis Costello gives ABBA absolute respect here as well. But he also brings in his own flavour and his own way of doing things as well. So Oliver's Army came of Armed Forces in 1979. Now, what I've got below is the official clip. So you'll see that one. He's having a bit of a laugh, a bit of a joke, but also there's some quite serious stuff being said at the same time. We then got Pump It Up. This came from this year's model from 1978. What can we say about this song? Is absolutely energetic and overwhelmingly incredibly pop. Just the whole thing is just really, really energetic. This is a classic from Elvis Costello right here. And with the attractions, this song was a bit of a staple for quite a long time. That's a live version, so it's pretty good to see him live a little bit earlier here. Now, in 2010, Paul McCartney was honoured with the Gershwin Prize. So, of course, Gershwin is the US, Paul Mccartney is UK, and here we have in the White House, Paul McCartney being honoured. We don't need to say any more about why Paul McCartney he's being honoured. He's Paul McCartney. What can we say? And how good to see the Get Back stuff on Disney Plus at the moment. I think I see there's beginnings of Hey Jude in there and Let It Be in there, you know, right at the very start. Incredible stuff, really. And so Paul McCartney was honoured that night, and who did they bring in to sing one of his classic songs? Elvis Costello and Penny Lane. So that's a pretty incredible performance by Elvis Costello right there, honouring one of the legends of music world, rock and roll royalty. What can we say? And then talking about collaborations, this little movie came out in 1999, Notting Hill. That was a story of the guy just in his flat and the girl and the actress who needs somewhere to hide, and the relationship that kind of forms and all of the stuff that ends up happening there. And a perfect song for that particular movie was Charles Aznavour's She. And who did they get to sing that one? Elvis Costello. Such a perfect song for him, because there's vulnerability in this song, there's questions, there's conviction, there's all sorts of songs in this absolutely stunning song by Charles, who wrote this one. And so we've got a live version of that one in front of an orchestra. So there you get to see Elvis Costello in his tender, but just see how good this guy's voice is. It's a bit unique, and it's really, really good, because she is not easy to sing. Elvis Costello was the perfect choice for that one. So the links to those 4 songs are in the description below. So that's where you'll always find my links. So feel free to look at all of them or some of them, whatever you'd like to do. They're there for you to have a look. And I've also included my last video from Michael J. Fox. So if you want to recap on that one, feel free. Well, we're winding up to close up to Christmas 2021. I have a few videos lined up. In fact, next time we're going to go on to Elevate, the Elevation community, and their song The Blessing. That'll come up in a couple of days' time. But I'm thinking I'm going to sneak a request in there, probably one of my own requests, and that's going to come up just perhaps the day before Christmas, because we need to do a Christmas thing this time of year, and I'm going to think of no better guy for us to do that with. But as far as next time, we've got Elevation next music next time. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.